So hi, this is Sherron, the Modern Savvy CPA, and for this session, we are going to be talking to Vicky, which she is my trusted bookkeeper, and I've known her for maybe about 6-7 years, and she is the guru of bookkeeping who gets most of my clients and turns their numbers into pictures. She's the one that turns their numbers into pictures for me, so I don't have to tell them that I'm leaving them because they I send them to Vicky and I'm like, you are no longer allowed to touch your books. Go to Vicky or I can be your CPA. I've done that with clients, right, Vicky?
Yes, correct. You have.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, your business, and things like that.
Okay, so I am the owner and CEO of Prestige Bookkeeping. We are a concierge bookkeeping firm. We service small to medium businesses, usually under 100 employees, within that range. And as Sherron says, we really do bring the numbers to life. I think that's the best way.
That's a good analogy.
Yes, I think that's a great way to put it. We work very closely with all our clients. We do urge them to stay out of their QuickBooks file. We exclusively use QuickBooks Online right now. There are other softwares. There's Xero, there's QuickBooks Desktop. But as long as you're using something, good information in, good information out. And we do turn that into comprehensive information, and we can guide you to plan for your business with that information.
Definitely, and Vicky has done that, and she is very interactive, working with your tax advisor, your CPA, or your tax preparer, whoever it is. She definitely likes to work with them and make sure that all of your numbers are together, and she definitely works with her clients and teaches her clients what they should be doing and what they should not be doing. So she's like a diamond in the rough. So we're gonna head right in, and we're gonna talk about some of the things that we need to talk about with you, for you as a business owner, and the bad habits that you have that you didn't even know you had, that we can change into smart habits, smart money habits. So the first thing we're going to ask Vicky, is, when a client comes to you and says, why do they really need bookkeeping? Why can't they just look at their bank account, their cash in the bank, and things like that?
So we get that a lot. We have prospects, or they're doing their own bookkeeping, or they know it in their head.
Oh, gosh.
Well, so I have a twofold answer for that.
Okay.
And I will, so even if you know it in your head, when you go to a bank and apply for a loan, the bank doesn't want to know what's in your head. They want to see financials printed out from a QuickBooks, Xero, Desktop, one of
comprehensive financials.
Yes. They want to see comprehensive financials. They do not want to see something handwritten. You can't bring them your bank register or your bank statements, and don't laugh because, maybe 20 years ago that may have been acceptable. And as Sherron stated, I know many CPAs that will not do your taxes unless you have comprehensive printed financials from an accounting software. It doesn't matter if it's new, old, cloud, desktop, they want something comprehensive.
Your second fold,
Yes, the second thought on that is you as a business owner, you can't go by your money in the bank because you need to know, we do cash flow projections, so we know when your bills are coming in and when your deposits are coming in. And if you're just living, on your cash, and that's like a wing and a prayer. To me, that is like driving a car with a blindfold on, because you don't know what's coming.
That's also a good analogy. I like that. I think we're going to use that analogy for the rest of this session, okay?
Yes.
Stop driving. One of the reasons you need good books and you need a good bookkeeper is you don't want to drive a car with a blindfold on, is because you're going to get into many accidents.
Correct. And you can't see what's coming.
Right. Yep.
So that
blindfold, you can't see what's coming, you can't see anything, can't see the rain even. So going into that topic, my next question was what is the importance of an automated system? Like you said, a few decades ago, everybody this was not an important thing. But in today's society, first of all, we have, I want you to go over the time factor in an automated system.
Okay, so there's time, accuracy, efficiency. And that's what an automated system does for us. And, I still work with some CPAs and accountants that will say, QuickBooks hooks right up to your bank. So everything that's coming into QuickBooks is coming in from your bank. So there's no margin for error, like transposing numbers.
Inaccuracies.
Right, inaccuracies. Many times we'll say somebody entered a bill, and let's say it was for $150, and we see it comes through the bank into QuickBooks for $160. We know they made a transposition error.
Right.
Okay, but we know what's in the bank is in the bank.
It's the story.
And that is the story. And I have some CPAs that are, old-fashioned, and their comment is, well, why don't you just unhook the automated part of the bank feeds and just enter it from register receipts, Z-out reports, just various things that businesses use. And we won't do that because there's too much margin for error. The bank is the God.
Yes. And I've tried many times, like when people tell me, oh, I don't think those numbers are correct. I said, well, the allocation of the number might not be correct. But this is what went into your bank account. This is what you paid with your credit cards. And this is what came out of your bank account. So we'll have to work with these numbers. How they allocate is different, but the numbers, she's not entering anything wrong, or he's not entering anything wrong, because this is what came through the bank. So I agree with Vicky that using the feeds, whether it's a credit card feed, the bank feeds, even some of your Square or whatnot,
correct,
those type of feeds, it lessens the problem of inaccuracies, and it's faster too. Your inaccuracy is better. It's a time efficiency thing for you. Vicky's able to get you your books within a certain amount of time, whereas your bank statement years ago wouldn't come until the 15th.
Right. And that's changed because many of the banks are hooked up, and we can pull in the statement as soon as it's available, actually within QuickBooks. And it reduces the margin for error, and it's much more efficient. So we're not going to have unreconciled transactions at the end of the month because we can pick up on duplicates immediately.
Right.
So much smoother, great transition, great reports.
And you're able to get all of this to your clients so they can manage their business properly. So,
correct,
you're not waiting until 3 months later to understand what happened in 1 month, because Vicky's, your bookkeeper is able to make sure that your information is efficient and accurate. So the other thing that we want to be able to talk about is, what are some most common questions that clients ask you is, where's my money going?
Where's my money going?
Does their books help with that?
So it does. So when we deliver financials, most of our clients, we deliver financials monthly, and we will get on a Zoom call with them, and we will go through their income, their cost of goods, their expenses, and we show them where their money's going. We've had clients, they don't know what cost of goods are. They don't know.
So you're also educating them at the same time.
Correct.
So they're understanding the overall view.
Yes, and they're understanding what's a regular expense, what's a top line expense, what is a cost of goods or a cost of service, depending on the industry. And we go through it with them. We have some clients who don't have time to get on a Zoom, so we'll do a 3 to 5 minute video, and we'll send it to them so that they do understand their financials. And we also try to have our clients do expense audits twice a year. And I can tell you, if you can pin down somebody, or even if you can do it on your own, if you do not have a bookkeeper, if you go through your expenses line by line through your business, it is an eye-opener. And you start realizing, am I subscribing to two softwares that do the same thing?
Absolutely.
Am I using two consultants that do the same thing? Am I overlapping with my advertising and my marketing and those types of things? Because just like in our personal life, you're paying for things that you don't use.
So what Vicki is talking about is what I've been talking about when it comes to maximizing your profitability. So your top line could be the same number. And if you're doing accurate books and you're using your books properly and you're understanding this, whether you're doing the expense audit with your bookkeeper or the expense audit with your accountant or your advisor, this is the part where I am so passionate about, is maximizing your profitability. So your top line is one thing, but what happens within your books affects your bottom line. It's not just your top line that affects your bottom line. Your top line, most of the time, that's your job. That's what you're doing. We don't touch that situation. But you want to make sure that you maximize your profitability. And that's where your planning comes in. And that's where having the right bookkeeper look at your stuff, having them teach you the things that you want to understand so you can look at the overall numbers. You don't need to be putting in the numbers yourself. That's why you have Vicki.
Yes.
You need to learn how to analyze that number. And if you have the right advisor, if you have the right tax advisor, or you have the right business advisor, or you have the right CPA that's going to do advising for you, that is where profitability comes in. And that is what I'm focusing on in small businesses, just like I was focusing on smart money habits that we were talking about in our other series, because you could be making the same thing, but how are you spending it? And are you wasting it? Are you enjoying what you're spending it? Are you spending it on the right thing? So that's where the expense audits that Vicki's talking about, I'm talking about maximizing the profitability. Same thing, just different way of talking about it.
Correct.
So Vicki touched on this before, and we talked about how do you look at your number picture? So we're talking about, like, I call it my number picture. So I think bookkeeping is everything when it comes to the number picture.
I agree. I can't even imagine that people run a business without bookkeeping. I'll give you a quick example. We signed a client on recently that we had been chatting with for 6 months. And he was a little apprehensive because his wife had been doing the books, and now she's expecting their third child. Educated woman, has her master's degree. However, she's not a bookkeeper, an accountant, or a financial professional in any way. So he signed on with us. We had about a good year of cleanup and setup. We got it going. We sent him his first set of financial reports. And in our financial reports, we do a little bit benchmarking. We compare last March to this March, let's just say, and then March to February. And we give them a little comparison in pictures. Actually, we use charts for that to help them. He was so thrilled to see the reports and the level of detail in his reports. He told me he had never seen anything like this. He was very pleased. And then 2 days later, I get a call from him that he had a third business that I didn't know about. And he's now brought on his home health care business with us. He has 2 retail pharmacies. So he's a great business owner. I'm sure his wife, she was doing okay. A little messy, but she was doing a great job, educated woman. But when he saw what real reports would look like, it was an eye-opener.
Right.
So.
And now he has his number picture. And it's up to him to look at it, ask Vicki for help, ask his accountant for help, ask his tax advisor for help into understanding his picture. And it's easy to understand the picture once you're looking at it, and sometimes you might need a little help analyzing it, but he has the first step. So the first step is making sure he has the right reports, right books, things like that. So, Another question that we have here is, what can good bookkeeping teach you? What can good bookkeeping teach a client? Like, we've been talking about that, like you just taught this guy.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
yes. So in that particular business, the cost of goods are very high. So he can see what he's getting from his wholesalers, and we break certain things down for him. We get a little bit granular with certain things. So he could say, well, you know, in this particular business, the cost of goods can be 70 or 80%, which is high.
right.
So how can we bring that down? You know, our highest expenses in most businesses are our salaries and our cost of goods.
Right.
So how can we maximize that? Do we have stale dated inventory?
Right.
That is something to look at. We can help you with that. We can teach
You can
how to
point them
look
in
at
the
that.
right direction.
Correct. Absolutely.
Yep. Yep.
So, you know, and that's what we do. And like you said, we work very closely with our clients. They're tax professionals. They're trusted advisors. We're a team.
Yeah. So let's go over, lastly, we're going to go over some of the questions that you might get that you know, that is simple questions, right? But these are things that business owners don't understand because they're good at what they're doing. They're good at their industry.
Absolutely.
So that's the other thing that I heard you mention before. I'm going to go back to talk to you about is, you know, you have industry specific things. So when a client is looking at their books, you know what numbers to tell them to look at when, you know, in certain industries.
Correct.
So, you know, so when they're looking at their books, you're like, okay, in normal things, if it's a inventory-based company, they have a high cost of goods sold, right?
Right.
Or they have a cost of goods sold. That's one of the numbers, larger numbers. Then we have payroll, your wages, which is another large numbers that you need to look at. And, you know, in my last video, I talked a lot about payroll and making sure that that's accurate. You know, having a good bookkeeper compares either she has a company that does the payroll for you, or you have an outside company that does the payroll for you. But a good bookkeeper will make sure that your bookkeeping ties to your payroll reports. So, you know, that's one of the compliance that's missing a lot of the times in bookkeeping. Wouldn't you say that?
Well, that's a good one. So most people, and when they're homegrown or your wife's doing your books or you're doing your books, they're just recording your net pay.
And they don't understand.
They
That's
don't
one
understand
of the
why we have to, right, why do we have to record gross and then back out the taxes? And we do, and what we do, actually, our bookkeepers and myself, we reconcile to your payroll report every pay date. We make sure the balances match your gross, your payroll taxes as an employer, the employees' taxes, your health benefits. So we do go the extra mile on that because nobody wants to sit there at the end of the year.
And yeah,
you know, you can make all the adjustments
and
you
your
want.
CPA or your tax preparer will literally curse you out if they have to. So what you're hearing from Vicky is bookkeeping is not just entering information, right? Bookkeeping is reconciling. So what you're hearing is the difference between you doing your bookkeeping and just maybe you're reconciling your bank. We've had clients together that has not reconciled their bank for the longest. So they wait a whole year and then they don't know, little did they know, a check they thought they deposited never went in, you know?
Yes,
so
we've had that.
So we've had situations where we've had clients together where there might be $6,000 or $7,000 of checks they thought they took a picture of and put in, but they never looked at the bank to see if the check went in. So that alone is craziness, don't you?
That alone is craziness, and that's why I say we will take a third-party payroll report, match it to what we have in QuickBooks. Are we off? Why are we off? What happened?
Bank account.
Bank account, same thing. We reconcile the bank account. It's not just match, match, match. We have to see, is there a check that you entered that you never deposited?
Right.
Yes, you may have entered it. Well, if it didn't come through the bank, it didn't happen.
You don't have that money.
Correct.
So sometimes if it's, depending on what the check is, if it's one or two checks, that alone is more than what you're paying your bookkeeper. So, you know, so you need to, that's just one aspect of why you need a good bookkeeper.
Correct. We have found, you know what, and I don't even want, we can go so deep into that.
Yes,
because
her and I have gone deep.
Our profession, so we can really dig on this. But I will tell you something else which brought awareness to good bookkeeping. When COVID happened and people really are hanging on by the skin of their teeth for their business. Some people are using personal money to make payroll. So now we have the EIDL, we have SBA loans, we have the payroll protection plan. Those are all great, but if you don't have good bookkeeping, all my clients who applied for that, within hours, they had their reports. Because we are always up to date, your books are always up to date, they're always accurate, they had just what they needed to apply for those loans. Also during that time, I had an influx of calls for people who needed 2 and 3 year cleanups and hadn't not only reconciled, they hadn't even done taxes.
Wow.
So now they're scrambling to get tax ready because you also need your tax returns to apply for loans. So it helps you plan ahead for your business.
Right.
You know, let's hope the loan is for a business expansion, not for a disaster or a pandemic. You know, let's hope it's for something good.
So I am going to talk a little bit also, add to what Vicky is saying, and this is something that's happening now that has to do with COVID, and it also is going to be something that's happening in the future. It's an ongoing issue that I'm seeing, and that is the ERTC thing. So I know you guys are seeing, business owners who are listening to us right now or watching us right now are seeing all of the commercial on the ERTC programs. Everybody and their mother thinks that they're qualified to do this. So the person, when you have all these pop-up companies that are doing these things, I'll tell you the truth. I do not trust any pop-up company to do ERTCs. I am only trusting a qualified CPA that specializes in this. And I'm going to tell you, I'm a qualified CPA, but I do not specialize in ERTC. I do not do them because I do not understand all the rules behind them. And I see a big audit flag if this is not done correctly. So I'm going to tell you in advance that you need to make sure your books are in order and they properly match what you have reported and amended with your ERTC. Because if you do not have that, if you do not have proper bookkeeping that looks like what you're applying for, and you get audited, and this is an audit flag, this is one on the IRS radar as a scam.
Correct.
In certain situations, you want to make sure your books are done beforehand, before you get audited. You want to make sure all your I's are dotted and your T's are crossed. I don't know what these companies are asking for. They're not necessarily asking for books for this, but they should be asking for it, and you need to make sure that you have it done. It's not just a payroll. You need to make sure your stuff is backed up. And that's one of the main other reasons for having good books, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. Honestly, I don't know how a business owner can operate without good books. And some business owners are qualified to do their own books, but many times you're better off hiring a professional. I will say that. Even
if you are qualified, let's just say you are qualified, to do your books. You've had accounting classes or whatever it is. You should have an overall business management understanding. That's how you read your number picture. But even if you are qualified, I can be qualified to do certain things, but that's not what I like to do, and that's not what I want to do. I want to be running my business. Correct. So where is your time spent wisely? Is it spent doing your books? Or is it spent going out there and maximizing your revenues? Let Vicky help you understand, or let some your tax advisor or your CPA help you, or your bookkeeper help you make your number picture, put your number picture together and help you understand your number picture. But you don't need to be doing the nitty gritty. You need to be doing the stuff that you love to do, but you have to understand the importance of your books.
Absolutely, 100% correct. I mean, I couldn't agree more. And you know what? You need a checks and balances system. You need another set of eyes on that.
Absolutely. Agreed. Agreed. Yep.
Absolutely, yeah. And, when we work closely with the CPA, such as yourself, trusted advisor, consultants, even our internal quality assurance, it goes through 3 checks before it goes out the door to the client.
Yeah.
Because things happen.
Things happen.
Sure.
We're human, but you basically want to understand your overall picture. You want to be able to make sure that you're using your books year round to manage your business, to maximize your profitability. And we're going to talk a lot about maximizing your profitability. I am going to be doing a live where Vicky's going to be in my audience, probably answering some questions for me on maximizing profitability in August. So stay tuned for more information on that. Well, Vic, thank you.
Awesome. Can't wait.
Thank you for coming on the show, explaining all about bookkeeping. We're hoping you could come back next time so we can dig into. We could probably have a bitch session on good books and things that we should be talking about, right?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure. I hope it was helpful.
I'm sure it was, and we're definitely going to have Vicky back. And again, thank you for coming on the show, and we look forward to seeing you again. And we hope that this information was helpful. Vicky's information will be in the notes on our video and in our podcast. And make sure that you guys listen, like, and share our information with everyone that it can help. This is Sherron, the Modern Savvy CPA, again with another informative session. Thank you.